Welcome to Ohioans Against Extremism podcast.
Oh my God, that was beautiful.
I've been training for that my whole life.
All right. Hi, I'm Maria Bruno.
And I'm Ainsley Johnson-Brown.
And this is the Ohioans Against Extremism podcast.
Episode 4.
That's right.
That's Beyonce's favorite number.
Is it?
Yeah, she makes everything better.
That's great. So we normally start kind of by debriefing what's going on at the State House. We're going to skip that part this time. 1, because we're tired. And 2, because next week we actually have a webinar that will be specifically about the State House, and then we'll make it into a podcast episode. So the next episode will be about that.
I didn't know that part until just now.
Yeah, the thing is about webinars is you just record them and upload them as if they're podcasts, and now they're podcasts.
So that's why we're upgrading the Zoom account.
You got
Smart.
it. Smart. Yeah, we're getting really deep, you guys. Now we have an account on Zoom where we can actually make webinars. Before we had to borrow our friends.
But all thanks to your donations.
That's right. That's right. Maybe we do the financial ask at the beginning. Support our work. We can do stuff.
We can do so much stuff.
So much stuff. We have so many we have more ideas too.
I have really actual concrete.
Me too.
Ways.
Yeah, we just don't have enough
sound
arms.
like it right now, but
yeah.
If you have a couple of dollars and you want to know how we'd spend it, we've got so many things to put in front of you.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So, since we're doing the webinar with our fancy Zoom account, we were, contemplating what we're going to talk about today. And I came across a video earlier this week that struck me. I'll link it in the body of this post so folks can check it out. It's from More Perfect Union. They do great reporting, a lot of economic justice focused stuff. But it was all about something that you had predominantly written about like a year ago. And so it just struck me as something that we should just return to because it's like, now it's the topic du jour, but...
I mean, it's still very much a problem. I'm glad that the conversation is opening up and more people are realizing just how we're being swindled by the rich guys.
And so the premise of this video is that, there is rampant fraud in the entitlement system as far as Social Security, food stamps, all of that. The problem is that the people committing that fraud are giant corporations, not...
And Brett Favre.
And Brett Favre. Oh my God. Yeah, Brett Favre. Because the thing about that's nuts is that is a pot of money that I have actually done policy work around. And it's like very specifically for families in poverty. Like, it is not like one of those, like, do what you want. It's like, no, it's supposed to be for families in poverty. And that's the pot he took, which is wild.
And you know who wasn't working when he took that pot of money?
Exactly. Freeloader. It's literally called Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. That's the acronym.
He said volleyball for my family.
He said, I need a volleyball court.
I temporarily need to borrow this money.
Well, I need it.
I need to leave a legacy. Football wasn't enough. And no, it's not. It's not funny at all.
No, it's horrible, but it speaks to the problem that we want to talk about, which is that, we do care about fraud. We do care about government waste. We do care about taxpayers being screwed over. It's actually really, I think, near and dear to our hearts. Yeah. I think where I get frustrated is we try to blame immigrants for things that are big corporations' faults or, workers. I mean, so... The video talks about how these workers work full-time or they'll try to work full-time, but they're not be allowed to work full-time because then they have to get benefits. And so they'll work just the maximum that you can work before you meet that threshold because that's where they'll keep them at to deny them those benefits. So
when we talk about benefits in this aspect, we mean like health insurance.
Yeah. Those fancy things like being able to go to a doctor.
Yeah.
And so these folks stay on these government programs because the job that they would love to be working full-time and making a living wage to do is not enough to pay their rent and feed themselves. And so corporations get a nice deal out of this because they get to pay poverty wages and have functioning employees.
There's so many layers of why this scheme is so sick, right? But the thing I found most poignant that they only touched on a little bit in the video, and I do encourage you to watch. It's like 11 minutes. It's not long. The they did a data poll of employers in the states that would respond, like who had the most, like largest percentage of their employees receiving SNAP benefits. And by and large, the corporations that were coming up time and time again are part of the food supply chain, whether it be a grocery store or the delivery or, you know, a large grain company. Like they're literally taking money out of our pockets and putting it into theirs, right?
I mean, I think the Walton family, who is the, you know, owners of Walmart, they have 2 different family members on the richest people, like the top 15 lists.
And 24% of their employees get SNAP benefits, I think the video said, which I have a capitalist solution to this.
Oh, let's hear it.
So I feel like if we're going to have, you know, work requirements for workers, right, we should also have compensation reporting requirements for C-level people.
I mean, at a minimum.
Well, and the idea that, you know, if a publicly traded company wants to issue a dividend to its shareholders, it should totally be able to do that after it has repaid dollar for dollar. Because they've effectively been able to cut those expenses and pass them on to us through taxes. And, you know, if you have record profits, $1 billion quarters, then you can pay, you know, you can pay what you didn't upfront. And I think that one might incentivize a little less greed, because there's the constant conversation that low wages are a result of natural market pressures, supply and demand. I would be interested to see what some of these corporations would be willing to supply if they first had to make whole the system before they enrich themselves.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you want to be able to pay dividends, then you need to be paying you cannot have employees that are using government benefits.
Simply because they're not making enough money.
To be clear, I don't actually know if that's a good idea. I feel like my policy nerd brain is like, I don't want to just throw stuff out there to throw stuff out there. But like the concept exists where you could, you know, hold the corporation accountable for sucking dry our government so that they can get cheap labor.
Well, because the argument is they do it because they can.
Yeah.
And
they
what if they couldn't?
Way more power than the workers. So anyway.
I'm glad we're talking about it, though.
Me too. Well, and the one thing that I think you talked about when we wrote about this last year was the fact that, like, this is how the system protects shitty jobs.
Yes.
Like, you can only have a system with this many shitty jobs with no benefits, all of that, because these companies are subsidized by the government to continue that system.
Yeah.
And so, like, we have a system right now that is making our job market worse, like, objectively.
Yeah, and the cost of food, the cost of what it gets us, is only going up. So we're only getting less for the more that is required of us.
I mean, Elon's compensation package was $1 trillion. I don't think that I have, like, big dreams of one day being able to do visualizations of billions of dollars, because I really don't think people can conceptually wrap their head around how much more $1 billion is than $1 million, let alone $1 trillion.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. These are like...
Well, I hate it.
I don't like it.
I hate it because it's wrong. And it's wrong for this. It's the same 3-card Monty with the dollars, right? He gets $1 trillion as his profit, you know, for the year, quarter, what have you. But also, how many government subsidies does SpaceX get? Does Tesla get? Like, it's what would the market look like? What would equilibrium look like if those hundreds of millions of dollars weren't just being pumped into his pockets? If he's making $1 trillion, he doesn't need the $300 million contract from the Department of War. Like, he has $1 trillion.
He has $1 trillion. Dip into the piggy bank here, buddy. Yeah. No, it's crazy. And
they're so smart, but so not.
But they're like not. They're just taking advantage of a system. Like, it's like we're at the end of Monopoly and no one's restarting the game. That's what we're doing right now. Like, we're just all just going around the board, just paying the monopolists.
Mortgaging what we've been able to stifle, like to put away over the years. It's, what do we do?
And I think the other thing, this is maybe we have two econ nerds right here, so we're bound to get into the weeds on this.
This is not related at all, but I like this.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, keep going.
I maybe lost what I was going to say. Oh, sorry. Economics.
Yes, nerds.
Competitive markets. These are not competitive marketplaces. No. We're not talking about a situation where there's a free market. Like this is, we're not even close to a free market. We live in an oligarchy, oligopoly. You know, like this is a system where,
and we can name who they are. It's not even like, oh,
I wonder who it is.
No, we can literally, we have a magazine every year. It comes out with a list of the people with their foot on our necks. And we're just like, you moved up higher this year. And it's like,
wow, that's crazy. Elon tripled his wealth. Now he's richer than God. That's crazy.
I can't turn my lights on. That's wild.
Our bills went up 25%. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts.
And it's not okay.
And there's no universe in which someone is actually adding that much market value. I'm sorry, no one person's that important, period, end of story. Like, we are all human beings, good and bad, whatever. But, like, even the best human being is not worth what these guys have. Let alone them, who are not the best human beings.
Not the best.
Not the best.
I mean, but you know what?
So how this plays into the fraud conversation. So now we have people trying to go to daycare centers and look for fraud. Which is super weird. Yeah. Like a strange man shows up at your daycare center. Yeah, I hope they don't let you in.
That's like,
that's kind of the point of having basic security, you know?
That's why you don't just leave your child out in the street.
Yeah, right.
You take it to where there's an adult responsible for protecting it from weird adults.
Weird adults like you with a camera in your face.
So weird.
But they do that so that they don't have to talk about their own fraud. Like, it is really all projection. And I think whether it's that or the Epstein files or whatever, I mean, this is all a case where look over there and I hope you don't notice what we're doing right here.
Yeah.
And we just have to kind of decide to not let them do that anymore. I think people are like, yeah, you're right. So that sucks.
You know, I think the closer that we get to the election, at least our role, as I see it, is just to continue to pan the camera back to the actual problem. Because
they try to just throw distractors.
I mean, an ADHD kid, right? Ooh, there goes a fly. Ooh, there goes a squirrel. Easily distracted.
Fun story.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it happens right here while we're taping on this couch. But I think if, there are a core group of us, which I would say, us, our community partners, our sponsors, our donors, are really helping us build the infrastructure to just continuously redirect the lens to the actual root.
I mean, I think it is very fair, if you are unhappy with the current system, to direct your attention first and foremost to the beneficiaries of that system.
Well, got here somehow. Somebody's winning.
They're winning this system, and they're like, why are you mad at the people not winning the system about that? Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
Because they cling so tightly to the idea that through some unknown course of actions and series of events, they too...
One day they'll be Elon.
They too could be on that list. And it's like, you know what? It's possible, but is it probable?
You have a bunch of losers trying ketamine, trying to get their inspiration.
It's like there's so many steps that Elon took before ketamine.
No, I absolutely agree. So, what do we do about it? All right. Well, that's the end of this podcast.
Well, at the state level, we have there's a work requirements bill at the state level that is still active. It has been dormant, but it is still active.
Yeah.
I think that as the federal government has the same conversation, I think what I am expecting, but also hoping not to see, is as the federal government kind of takes up the air in the room when it comes to work requirements, some of the other, especially more extreme states, I'm not going to say conservative states, more extreme states will use that as an opportunity to slip in their state, push legislation through their states in a pattern that will make it almost like hopscotch for a person who is, restarting life or, trying to get on the right track to be able to work their way into just living standards.
Yeah, most of the people that are using these systems are kids, people with disabilities, and elderly.
Well, those are the only crowds right now that don't, across the board, have work requirements already.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty easy to understand why those populations are exempt. Like if you are a parent and you are caring for children.
All right, 6-year-old, let's go. Time to go down to the mines.
Which, what do we do about that? Do we...
Well, there really is a bill there at the State House. I think it might have actually already gone through to extend hours to make it so that teenagers can work later on school nights. I mean, again, it's death by 1,000 cuts. How many bills are we tracking right now?
I'm going to say just over 600.
Just over 600 bills. So each bill is about something different, sure, but they layer on top of each other and they add up. And so sometimes these things, like, they look like they're nibbling around the edges, but they're not. They're making foundational changes.
I think a perfect example of that is, when we put together the primer on state level, ICE related bills. And it was one of those things where, like, you read the vague language and you kind of see where
one after
things
another.
could fit. But if you put them all together, and I think it was really interesting that even though some of those bills, they were, Josh Williams started introducing some of those bills very early in the legislative cycle, never really stepped up to the podium to claim responsibility for the larger package until, the Ohioans, like the majority of Ohioans that are very against ICE operations locally, stood up and said, no, we're going to introduce legislation to, counteract this ominous package that has not yet been claimed.
Yeah, Democrats introduced a proposal. And the thing is like, it does suck that we have a supermajority because their proposal will never even get serious consideration just because of the nature of who introduced it. But I do think it's important to at least illustrate that it's possible to legislate for good things rather than for terrible things every once in a while.
Well, this is what I'll say about the package as introduced, because there's a faction of Ohioans that...
Which one, the good one or the bad one?
The good one, the ones introduced by the Dems.
Okay.
Right. There's been some discourse around how even some of those bills acquiesce too much to, letting ICE in the door. And some of those bills have to do with, like, what the detainment conditions would be like, which, of course, the stance first and foremost is they shouldn't be detained. I think that what is really smart about this package and the legislators that introduced it is that it mitigates that harm, right? So, like, okay, let's say that they're able to push this thing through because of how they've gerrymandered and tilted the scales. Well, if that were to happen, we also know that we have the people behind us when it comes to, protecting this population, at least until, they are granted the same freedoms as everyone else that touches this earth.
It also, like, takes excuses off the table. Like, they can't say, oh, I didn't think about that, or, oh, I would have done it, but there was no bill. It's like, no, there was an option right in front of you that you didn't take. And as we look to a big election year, that does unfortunately matter. And yeah, I mean, I think that every level of government, local, state, federal, has different ways that it inserts itself into your life and different ways that it can assist your life. And when one of them is failing, I think we lean harder on the other ones to make up the losses, right? So it's like, if you have a local government that isn't absolutely terrible, go figure out what they can pass to protect you all locally. Like, would it be better if it was statewide or federal? Absolutely. But every protection matters. So, if you can chip away at it locally, like, that's worthwhile. When I was at Equality Ohio, we helped a bunch of localities, pass non-discrimination protections because they hadn't passed them at the state level.
And still haven't.
And they still haven't. And everyone just assumes they have. They assume that it's already illegal to fire people if you're gay, and it's not. It's super legal, unfortunately. But although there's case law, but that's a whole thing. Either way, the point is.
But I mean, it's the same thing that we saw with the, Dobbs and abortion restrictions. There was already state level legislation that, before we had this great, overturning of, law and policy was completely dormant. But once those federal protections were stripped away, like you said, it was a free for all. And so, I think not to bring this, to bring this back to the Constitution. I cannot emphasize enough how much I don't even want to call it a layer, each segment of government is designed to protect us from each other. And I think one of the things that is scaring me the most right now, what I'm seeing in the State House, is the number of state level bills that are ready to lockstep and, have policies in place to automatically comply with whatever the federal government says, right?
Shit, yeah.
And it isn't restricted to any particular policy outcome or any particular principle. It just literally takes away the protection of the state government typically offers people in the whole scheme of federalism. When we talk about states' rights, it's how this whole thing got started. If we start locking all the layers of government together, then what we have is a true ruling class.
Yeah. And ruling class, back to our wealth disparities all the way around. And that's the nature of having we have a billionaire running for governor right now, so we can just, skip the middle guy and just put the billionaires right in charge, I guess, this year if we would like. But they really have just become middle managers for the billionaires' agendas.
And if you've ever had a middle manager,
Yeah. But so I think that it's important to be fighting back, and it is not pointless. Like we just saw, was it Texas, where a candidate had like 10 times the budget and still lost because of grassroots organizing. Now's the time to be planting those seeds. We're actually going to have some opportunities ourselves to be able to train people up to, run campaigns.
Are we?
We are. We're going to... Yeah, we're gonna issue campaign incubator.
Oh, when are we doing that?
This summer. We've talked about this.
That'll be fun. Sure, we did.
But I'm
excited to learn more.
Great. Well, I'll explain to you and also the world at the same time.
Wonderful.
That's as we do.
Efficiency.
We have a lot of people that want to do good work and they just kind of don't know where to start. They may know what issue they care about. They may know who they need to influence, but they don't know past that, how to sit down and make a game plan. And so we are going to provide a training that literally is about sitting down and making a game plan. So you're going to come in with your interests and your ideas and your group, and you're going to say, this is what we're trying to do. And I'm going to say, great. Now here's 20 questions that we're going to run through, and at the end of it, you're going to have a campaign plan.
I like that. That's cute.
Thanks. I try. But part of it is to mitigate exactly what we're talking about, where people can go from enraged about something to actually working towards a tangible change to address it.
And also that prevents people from blowing things up.
Yes.
And tackling each other in public.
Yeah.
Just talk. Just talk and use the tools.
Yeah. That's right. And that is the mitigation. And
we're doing our best, guys.
We're doing our best. Well, and the other thing that we're doing is the helpers cohort. The applications will probably be launched by the time that this is being released.
I hope so.
Me too. But that is for the stragglers. This is for, I do speaking events all across the state. Constantly, I'm having people walk up to me and say, hey, like, how can I, be doing more with Ohioans Against Extremism or just in general? And I don't have capacity to take everyone under my wing. However, I do have capacity to build out a table of folks that are all similarly situated so that we can start troubleshooting these bigger questions ourselves. And so this is a cohort meant for, individuals. You might come in already knowing what you care about, what you want to work on, and maybe you're looking for thought partners. Maybe you're looking for strategic advice. Maybe you're looking for volunteers to help you do it. Yeah. Or you are you have a really good skill and you're like, I don't know who needs this, but I know that I can code really well, and like they have a skill that they want to figure out how to use to actually be addressing extremism. And we have this amazing network of community partners that are always looking for more help. And so we have an opportunity to be, feeding two birds with one piece of bread is the woke one. The other one's kill two birds with one stone, which is normally what I say. Okay. And so if you are interested in that, there's an application that you can apply to be a part of that. It will be a smaller group. Again, this is also a new project, so, you might get in on the ground. Also,
we're accepting on a rolling basis.
We're going to accept on a roller basis.
2 months,
Every
3
2
months.
months, we'll run through that process again. So if you missed this round, that's okay. Apply in time for May.
I've got a cute little plug. So I had a conversation with one of our viewers, listeners, readers today. Because we really do want to talk to you guys about like what you're thinking and what you want to see happen in this space.
I don't want you to forget, but I do want to say we've gotten more comments and emails lately, and I just want to celebrate that because we really like getting your feedback.
Yes.
Like it really does inform what we do and how we do it. So please keep sending us stuff and ideas and all that.
And we also now have a couple more hands checking the info box. So there are also a couple of people that we are kind of
if you followed up and you're like, wow, you left me hanging. Now's a great time to try again.
And we're sorry.
I'm sorry.
And we will do better. But we had this great conversation about this concept that really just needs an app builder or a tech component. The social value, the social political value of it is undeniable. And so I'm really actually hoping that we get a couple of coders because there are some things that are immediately ready to start building that could, literally put democracy back in the hands of us. So.
Yeah, whatever nerd thing you've already got going on for you, we can make it work for us. So,
and if it's constitutions.
If it happens to be Constitution, you've just made your new best friend. Ainsley, do you want to talk about the tracker for a minute?
Oh, so I've spent so much time in the back end of the tracker. Because if you haven't heard, we are launching a refresh. It's not even a new tracker. It's a refresh.
Yeah.
We have expanded the database of state legislation that we are monitoring. We've actually broken it down by each one of the issue areas as categorized on our site. Just to make things a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier. One of the things that I'm doing is when people see the new version, they will see the in-depth detailed information about what this bill does and how we are explaining it, but also a lot of the bills get pretty decent news coverage, at least localized, and so I have started aggregating the local news links where reporters are doing the hard part and probably doing a better job of explaining it than I do when I hop on a soapbox.
I will just reiterate the importance of funding our work because that is a ton of work. Like that is so much work to go and actually filter these news stories and consolidate 600 bills worth of information. So
you got to read the bills first and know to figure out.
You got to read the bills first.
Yeah, I do. I read the bills first. I read the bill analysis. I compare it to kind of like I compare it to our definitions of extremism to figure out, where it should fall. And sometimes we don't quite know just because of, the way that some of language can be co-opted with misinformation and disinformation. And so there are some bills that are purely on our watch list because we are waiting to see, what the discourse looks like and if, there's any propaganda used one way or another, because there are some of them that have, at least the possibility of being co-opted by, left extremists or right extremists. And again, we are against all extremism. And so, rather than, we'd rather err on the side of caution.
But the right-wing extremists are actually in charge of lawmaking, so it's much more likely at the moment for it to be right-wing.
Absolutely. We're on there.
We're in for the long game.
We're on their asses. Don't you worry. Yeah. But that being said, we don't want to inadvertently empower, some extreme.
Yeah, no, I think that, and this maybe makes it easier to even see if you're looking at our tracker, sort of how we go about to making decisions in the sense of when we're looking at whether something's good or bad, the first thing we're thinking is if a bad faith actor, if someone who wanted to do the worst, screw someone over, hurt someone, whatever, what could they do with this language? What could they misuse it? Could they intentionally warp what it means to be against something else? So sometimes these bills sound benign
Yeah.
or maybe even good.
Yeah.
But then you look at the legal like definition, and there's a couple words that were like, all right, well, you know what? Someone's going to use that, you know, to sue because someone wore a hat, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just like you have to, like, actually, great example, drag ban. That's a bad bill and a bad idea, but I think
It's unconstitutional.
but yeah, but I think something that is particularly harmful about it is that it like literally equates in the legal language like pornography and or like strip clubs and like you know, dressing as the opposite gender, whatever the language they use in. But they basically say like, so like a guy in a wig would be illegal. Like it just
So much for
not even
plays.
a trans person, like literally Mrs. Doubtfire, you know? And so it's like
Playhouse Square should be up in arms about this. Capitol
they
Theater
are
should be up in arms
actually,
about this.
yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah,
good.
the theater communities are like, what the heck, man, you know? So, I mean, but again, it's like maybe you see something on Twitter and you're like, wait, but I don't want my kids to go, you know, It's like, that's not, but there's what you think the bill does and then there's what the bill's actually going to do. And those are not always the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we are about out of time.
I'm almost out of words.
Same. So tune in.
This is where we shake our tin cup.
Yes, but also I'm going to re-announce the webinar again so that you guys remember.
So you can see what the work actually is.
Yeah. And it will be overwhelming. I'm just going to warn you all now. There's a lot going on. Pick a thing. Like, you don't have to be the person in front of every fight. I'm not, you know, you're not. Like, we have to pick our battles and we have to decide where we're best and most useful. So
but I think that's what makes our movement so great is, you know, we really just empower people that care about all the things. So
like, you do what you want with this information.
Here are the tools.
But here's the information.
Go for it, you know? And so somewhere in there, you know, if we are effective enough at what we do, you know, all of the fires get addressed because we've supplied the hoses. I thought of that on the fly.
I love that. Also, firefighter is like a big metaphor that's showing up in a lot of conversation these days. So that's really on theme. Yeah, actually, I will share this. Someone was talking about sort of like how people enter social justice movements and then are frankly like too soft to actually do anything. And
that bleeding heart.
She put it really well. She said, everyone wants to be a firefighter, but then you find out that they really just wanted to ride in the truck and ring the bell. And it's like, I mean, that is so true. Like, you have to be ready to fight fires. So, you know, get out there. We can do it. We can work together.
But we do need someone to drive the truck. And we need somebody to make the clubhouse meals.
That's true. Yeah.
Just
absolutely.
Yeah. And get with some actual firefighters and support them. And that's community.
That's community.
That's all I've got.
Yeah. So join us for our webinar. We'll go over the bills that we're looking at the State House. Apply to the cohort if that seems like something that is of use to you. Be on the lookout for future activities and training opportunities.
So by the time you see this, either you have already seen a flyer with this announcement or this will be your announcement. But on Friday, March 27th, we have taken up some space at the main library in Columbus. We would love for you all to come have coffee with us. I mean, there is a coffee shop already there. We are going to utilize and leverage that and get a bulk order, get one of the conference rooms and chat with the peeps. You know, I wanted to make sure that we were easily accessible. And also, it's early enough in the afternoon on Friday that if you work downtown, it is very easy to just come shoot over, say hi, grab a sticker, and head back to the office.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. There's been a lot of value, I think, in just people sitting down face to face and just decompressing a little bit together. So we don't want to understate the importance of that, even if it feels trivial.
Well, no, I mean, yes, and also one of our community partners, Ohio Eco Rights, put out a seasonal gatherings toolkit, seasonal connections, and that is actually, I went through the checklist. As I was thinking about, you know, how we were going to, you know, execute this. Something as simple as, you know, just having coffee, but coffee with intention. And to make sure that all the intention was put into the event. And I'll say there were things that I would not have thought about or would have thought about in the 11th hour. And was so glad that, you know, that group had put together, you know, kind of a framework that I could just leverage.
Love that. I love that for you. And so that is a perfect segue into the end, which is us shaking around a cup and reminding you all that we do not have billionaire friends.
No.
As you heard from all the shit talk that we started this with, it's a real mystery why they don't like us. But that is why we've been so appreciative of the generous support of Ohioans. Like, we literally are a project that has been driven from the start by Ohioans, and it's supported by Ohioans. And, you know, if you're not from Ohio and you want to contribute, we very much welcome your contribution.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, this is a people effort, and we are proud of that fact. But we also need your help to keep it that way so that we can, you know, like, feed ourselves while we do this work.
Well, eating is important, right? Eating
generally
is very important. But I even look at something as it seems small, you know, to someone on the outside. But even being able to upgrade our Zoom account and the capabilities that gives us, like, there are too many different platforms and tools that we use the free versions of, or we, you know, rush to try to use it in 7 days so we don't have to pay for it.
I mean, I'm doing the website updates right now, you guys, and I'm terrible at technology.
We're hoping to get it out this General Assembly.
Yeah.
It would be a lot easier.
If we had some money.
It would be, but
also our events would be cooler. We have so many fun ideas that we're oh, can we afford that? You know, and so I
want to have a party. I want to have a poster party.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to make.
We'll have next podcast. We'll talk about, because I feel like there's a lot to discuss related to that. So we'll keep it tight. So give us money, thank you, please.
And we can do crafts together, all of us as a community, and protest.
Yeah, I love that.
That's it.
All right. Well,
QR code.
Thanks for listening. QR code.
Well, thank you for listening to Ohioans Against Extremism podcast. If you want more, you can check us out at ohagainstextremism.org. Follow us on Twitter, No Extremism Ohio. And stay tuned, subscribe, and feel free to donate if your pockets allow it.